Play fake. Bessert sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith.
Has some time. Touchdown!
Steps up, guns it. Pass is caught. That'll move the sticks. Tyrone Tracy. There he goes. Tracy. Towards the end zone for the Iowa touchdown.
How's it going, gentlemen?
Hello?
Live! After that intro, can you not hear me? Tell me you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. It just...
No, he's broken. We're off to a great start, ladies and gentlemen. Off to a great start. Shane, you're muted.
How's that?
There we go.
There we go. All right. Is he frozen?
One.
Yeah, he's got that sunshine internet.
Startup. Sorry about
Stop talking.
Corey, stop talking. We
Stop
can't.
talking.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Oh, I guess he'll be gone for a minute.
Oh, God, that was rough.
Well, I'm assuming he can join back in, yeah?
I would think so. I mean, he's the one that set the link out.
Yeah, that's true. So, you want to talk about the Big Ten while we wait for him?
Yeah. What's on the docket?
Well, one thing I wanted to mention was it looks like Virginia is playing Maryland right now.
Yep.
Maryland's winning 21-14. About 8 minutes or so left in the third quarter, so we'll kind of see how that plays out.
That's a lot closer. A lot closer than I thought. I don't know what's Maryland's deal. Like, this is the third game, the second game in a row that they've started really kind of slow.
Yeah, last week against Charlotte, they ended up pulling away by 18, but I think they were losing at one point, or they were.
Yeah, they were down 14. It was 14-0.
Yeah. Yeah, so they got their heads out of their butts, but yeah, I don't know what Maryland's doing, man. I don't think their defense is all that great, and I think, I think Tua's little brother is just trying to get into the kind of the run of things this year. So,
well, damn, I heard he owns like every Maryland passing stat possible. I think.
Oh, really?
What they were saying in the pregame was their offensive line is pretty bad this year. Like it's not good, and maybe he's trying to force things. I don't know. I didn't get to watch. I had to watch Spider-Man, so my little one was losing his marbles, so I didn't get to watch most of or any of the Maryland games. So
sure, yeah, no, I think offensive line. I know in this game alone, I'm pretty sure he's ran for quite a bit, so that could be a direct correlation there with their O line kind of sucking. I don't think we talked after last week. We can kind of go over the scores here real quick of last week while we wait for Corey before we do our predictions, because I know we want to try to have him involved. I think he just joined. Corey.
Hawkeye Stan.
Yeah.
Oh, Sunshine, you fixed your internet.
Okay, so Corey, we were talking about we're going to go over the scores of last week real quick before we get into predictions.
I did capture some highlights too, but I don't know if I don't know if I'll be able to present it. I just want to. I had. Oh, that's nice. I had one pick that one of us made from last week
Okay.
that was spot on. And I just wanted to celebrate that moment. I don't know. Is that should I save that for later in the show?
How about we go over the Big Ten, just the quick
Okay.
rundown, and
I
then
know,
you
yeah.
play it right after we go into the next, like, the predictions for this week.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like
Okay.
that.
Okay, so it looks like, so I know when we left off last week, we already knew that Indiana had beat Indiana State, Kansas had beaten Illinois pretty badly on that Friday. Saturday, we did do the live stream of the Nebraska game. So we did know that the final score was 36-14. So some of those predictions are actually pretty spot on from those sporting announcers. It looks like Iowa beat Little Brother 20-13. The actually game got pretty close toward the end there. So Iowa did pull away. Ohio State beat Youngstown State 35-7. Penn State destroyed Delaware 63-7. Purdue beat Virginia Tech 24-17. Michigan State beat Richmond 45-14. Michigan ended up finishing their UNLV game 35-7. Kind of had 7 points going at the very end of the game there. Northwestern beat UTEP 38-7. Maryland beat Charlotte 38-20. Minnesota beat Eastern Michigan 25-6, and then Rutgers pulled away against Temple 36-7. I think the most important game of last week was Wisconsin, who was ranked 19, lost to Washington State 31-22. And I did actually put Washington State in that top 25 that I tweeted out, and I took Wisconsin out of there.
That was a really good game. Did you watch
Yes, it
any of
was.
that?
I
That was
watched
a really
the
good game.
fourth quarter. By the time I realized Wisconsin was probably actually going to lose, I turned it on in the fourth quarter, and I saw some of the highlights. And yeah, the Cougars were just a better team. They looked good.
Yeah, it was I enjoyed every bit of that game.
Yeah, and I think you and I kind of predicted that Wisconsin would be one of the better teams in the West this year. So I'm actually really surprised that they lost like that. I mean, they really didn't give them a run for their money at all. I know at the end it was only a 9-point score, two score game, but it didn't look like they were really in it at all after the halftime. So that was kind of interesting. Any games from last week that stand out to you before we maybe get into some of these other ones?
No, I mean that the Washington game, the Wisconsin one, that was the only really one I wanted to see. So I don't really know. If Wisconsin's going to be like that, we might need to turn our focus to. I'm not going to count on my Huskers, but I mean now Minnesota and Iowa, how they play out, they might become favorites of the West now.
Yeah, I think that's a really big possibility. I think Iowa, depending on their offense, I mean, I think we said they had to score 25 points a game, and they've only scored 20 and 24. So, really, I mean, a lot of that was their defense again. They had a pick six last week, so I mean, they really only scored 13 offensive points. That's one touchdown, a couple of field goals. So, it doesn't look like their offense has changed for the better quite yet. We'll see what McNamara turns into over the next coming weeks, especially once we get into Big Ten play. But obviously, playing their little brother there, Iowa State's always a challenge. But we'll see, because if Iowa can't get the offense going, then the East or the West rather, is really open for anyone to steal it, because I think they're susceptible to lose to anyone this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. Iowa's got to figure it out offensively. 13 points by the offense is not going to get it done, because, I mean, that defense eventually will break when they need the offense to step up. And then, Minnesota, they threw the ball, 45, 50 times versus Nebraska. And then that week 2, they decided to run the ball really good, and they got their freshman running back established. So, like PJ, he always usually gets Minnesota right where they need to be anyways. So it'll be, like you said, that West it'll be wide open if Wisconsin continues to kind of struggle, or I don't know if we can call it a struggle, but I mean they still gonna have to find themselves and figure it out. What blows my mind with Wisconsin watching them is you got Braylon Allen on that team, Braylon Allen, that running back. I mean, dude's a grown man. out there. I mean, that like, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy to see them to get in that slugfest with Washington State, but I'm good for Washington State too. With that whole with everything they got going on, with the Pac-12 and them and Oregon State holding strong. Like, I mean, good for them to pull out that nice W.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Wisconsin that when I was looking at that game was I think the first week, I think they led the FBS in all of rushing yards. They had an absurd amount of rushing yards that first week. And then this week, they only had, I'm looking at it now, they had 91 rushing yards, but it was over 29 carries. So they only averaged 3 yards a carry, 1 rushing touchdown. Their quarterback didn't play bad, but didn't play great. He had to throw it 40 times to get about 270 yards. And honestly, looking at Washington State's stat line here, there's nothing super impressive. So the fact that offense will be fine. Okay, well, if you can type into the chat, you can join back into the call there, Corey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think with Washington State, I mean that's obviously a big win for them. Luckily for Wisconsin, that wasn't Big Ten loss, so they can hopefully just try to brush that off and move into Big Ten play with maybe a lesson learned or maybe a way to find their offense out. So I wouldn't count them out yet.
No,
I just think that it was a little surprising. I don't think anyone thought that they would lose that game. I know it was a road game, but yeah, just a little surprising. Other than that, there were not really every other Big Ten game for the most part was a blowout. Iowa was a 1-score game, and then Purdue and Virginia were a 1-score game. Everyone else was multiple score games.
Yeah.
So this week wasn't too interesting in terms of the Big Ten. The other game I do want to mention before we move on is Texas beating Bama in Alabama.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty impressive. That's why I moved Texas up to number 1 on my top 25 they posted. I mean, just with what Bama has been over the last multiple decades and how good their program is, how good Nick Saban is, I think that was one of the best wins in the last few years against them. So Texas is looking good. That's looking good for their fans because they're going to go to the SEC next year. Oklahoma looks strong as well. We'll see how they fare in Big 12 play when they finally get there. But I thought that was a pretty.
Do you think Oklahoma's got it figured out? I know Texas. I know their fans have been wanting it, like us Nebraska fans and everybody else for the last 25 years. They've been wanting to be relevant and again because Texas been chirping. They've got all this money, everything else. I mean, it was good to see it put together finally for Texas to beat Alabama. I mean, like we said last week, Texas should have beat Alabama anyways. Last year.
Yeah.
So, it was good to see Oklahoma. I mean, hopefully Brent Venables can get that turned around and get it going in the right direction. I think it'll be out of those two teams. I think, they've got and I mean, that's not a hot take or anything, but I think Oklahoma will have the harder challenge, I think, adapting to the SEC. Yeah. I mean, that's just my take.
I think they will too. Oklahoma really has to prove that they're able to play defense. So we'll see when they get to Big 12 play, especially with that league, how they play offense is ridiculous. So we'll see if they're going to just get into shootouts with teams, then yeah, they're probably going to struggle in the SEC. What impressed me about Texas was their defense was actually really good. I mean, they ended up they let Alabama score at the end there, made it a 1-score game. I think Alabama even took the lead in the third quarter at one point, and then Texas just marched right down the field, scored again, turned Alabama over, and just kind of won that game. So I was actually really impressed with them when watching that game, and I think they're going to be ready for the SEC. And honestly, schools like Texas, I think the new NIL regulations really help schools like that because they've already had all the money in the world. You just weren't legally able to pay your players, and now that it's much easier to be like, hey, we can pay you and you can come play for the Longhorns. So I think that's a big one, especially for those kids growing up there in Texas, and Texas is probably arguably the biggest football state in the U.S. So so I thought that was impressive. I know I'm going to keep them in my top 1, or I think that's arguably might be the best win of the year, depending on what Alabama turns out to be. Winning in, is it Birmingham? They play in Birmingham. Tuscaloosa. Yeah, I don't know. I thought Birmingham. So winning in Tuscaloosa is huge, and unless Alabama ends up just sucking it up this year, I think that'll be probably one of the biggest wins of the year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I mean Nick Saban, you saw too. He made the QB change going into this weekend. So, yeah, it'll be I mean, because what if like Alabama falls off? I still think it'll be a nice win for Texas, even if Alabama loses, God forbid, 3 games or 4 games this year. But it's still it's Alabama. I mean, so
yeah, no, I agree. Huge win. So yeah, that's all I really have on last week, man. So I guess moving into this week, I guess we can. There's one game I wanted to talk about specifically now that we're talking about games of the week. I looked at the entire schedule. There really aren't any super high profile games this week.
no,
There's
that's
no
what I
top
noticed
25.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no top 25 matchups. There's no anything too crazy. And I think I might be taking a little bit of swing at a left turn here. But honestly, I think, and just to incorporate the Big Ten into it, I think my game of the week is Minnesota at North Carolina.
Oh, I agree. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. North Carolina's ranked 20th in the AP poll. Minnesota's 2-0. North Carolina's 2-0. Now, North Carolina did have to go to overtime last week to beat, I forget,
Appalachian State.
Appalachian State. Yeah, those sons of bitches. So they did have to go to overtime to beat the Mountaineers, but I think that game's going to be really good. North Carolina's favored by a touchdown right now, but I think just like you said earlier, the Gophers have been able to show multiple weeks that they can get it done different ways.
Yep.
I think that'll be a good game, and I'm just looking at all the Big Ten games. I think that's far.
And if Minnesota wins that, I thinking they're ranked. I mean, I think obviously. I mean,
yeah, I think I put them in my rankings. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be, maybe near the bottom, but I mean, that's what it's in. Is it in North Carolina? Is Minnesota?
It is in North Carolina. Yep. So they will be playing an away game. So an away game, playing they're an AP ranked team, North Carolina. I know their quarterback is possibly NFL bound, I believe.
Yeah, Drake May.
Yeah, I believe that quarterback is NFL bound. So, just being able to beat a team like that and then starting off into Big Ten play 3-0, I think that's going to be huge for them. And I think Minnesota will, like what you're saying, I think they really will be looking to take the West and possibly even, compete for a Big Ten title. They look good enough to be able to possibly get it done. And it looks like our red-haired friend has joined us again.
I will not accept defeat.
Are you on an iPhone?
I have found a way to be on this episode today because my Iowa Hawkeyes performed admirably, and I'm very excited. And Nebraska, you guys already talked about Nebraska sucking, I guess, and just going downhill again, or has that all been?
Listen, go fix your internet. There's not time to come in here and just throw poo-poo everywhere.
First of all, I just, I want to get out of my system. I had the pick of the week all lined up. My internet's crashed. So
why don't you explain what was it a clip that you were going to play or what?
Yeah, it was a clip I was going to play from yesterday's pregame or last week's pregame show.
Okay, what was the prediction? What was the pick?
The pick of the week was me saying that there would be at least 3 turnovers in the Nebraska-Colorado.
Oh my God.
I mean, is that going out on a limb? I mean, per se. I mean, that's.
You thought so. You thought so. If I remember correctly. In fact, the clip I think will show evidence of that. But
all right,
just football prowess. You guys are lost without me.
I mean,
so Corey, I don't know how much of you've been listening to what we've been talking about, so you could join in on our conversation here. Did you miss the last few minutes?
I caught the Wisconsin bit with Washington State. Was it?
Mm-hmm. So we finished last week's games. We were going into this week's games, and we kind of both agreed that Minnesota at North Carolina is kind of the game of the week, not only in the Big Ten, but I think around all of college football. North Carolina is ranked 20th in the AP poll. I have them ranked 24th in mine. I dropped them a little because they went to overtime with Appalachian State, so that was a rough one, but they got it done. Minnesota is traveling for this game. They're 7-point underdogs. Got any comments on that?
What did Minnesota do last week? I didn't catch what they had.
So Minnesota is 2-0. Last week they beat Eastern Michigan 25-6. I think they didn't really win by a ton, 19 points. But kind of what Chris was saying earlier was when you were gone there was they showed that they could get it done in a different way. They kind of passed the ball against Nebraska, and then last week against Eastern Michigan, they ran it for over 200 yards, I believe. So
it seemed like when I watched that game against Nebraska, like their corners were a little weak, or their backfield was a little weak.
Corners,
Minnesota or Nebraska's?
Minnesota, but am I thinking of that?
Yeah, they said that should be their strength, I thought, of their defense, but
maybe it was their line play. There was something I noticed about
Yeah.
Wisconsin that I didn't like. And I don't know anything about North Carolina as far as what their strengths are in the offenses.
So in 2 games they played, they let 114 passing yards up against Nebraska and only 71 against Eastern Michigan. So I would say that their backfield or their secondary has played decently well throughout their first 2 games. Now, granted, Eastern Michigan is not a powerhouse team by any means, but still 71 was in that game. So we'll see how they are. I just think that North Carolina, if you remember last year, they were actually really good. I think they were a 10 or 11 win team last year. I think 10. They did go to a bowl game. Is his last name May?
Drake May.
Yeah, so he's going to be an NFL quarterback next year, most likely. So they have a great offense. Their defense struggles a little bit, but this year North Carolina will be competing, especially with Clemson seemingly not as good as they have been. They'll be competing with Florida State for the ACC title this year. I think those 2 teams are going to be the best teams in the ACC.
So this is a real big test for Minnesota then. I mean, if they pull off a win here, because I think Nebraska's a quality win, even though, they fell apart in the second half of the last week's game. I still think Nebraska's got a solid team to at least win, a solid team to compete in every game. How about that?
Sure.
And so that's a good win for Minnesota. Then to come out, man, I don't know. You're making it sound like North Carolina's got the edge. What's the line say from Las Vegas?
The line is North Carolina at -7. I'll give my pick first. I would take North Carolina to win this game, but I would take Minnesota plus the points. I think Minnesota will be within 7. I just think if Minnesota, and kind of what Chris was saying too while you were gone there, if Minnesota wins this game, they might even get a nod into the top 25. They will in mine for sure. I don't know about the AP poll, but I think taking out North Carolina, who should be at least a runner-up for the ACC title this year, I think that'll be a big win. So I'm going to take North Carolina, but I'll take Minnesota plus the points. There's the 7-point spread. It's in North Carolina. What do you guys think?
I'm going to ride Gophers. I'm going to take the points for Minnesota and the money line on the Gophers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Gophers. I think they pull it out. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what that travel is. What is that? 1,200 miles? Maybe not even. By.
It's probably not too big of a travel. Yeah.
Yeah, from Minnesota to, I mean, it can't be any farther than Minnesota going to like Rutgers, right? So I mean, I don't see that being a deterrent, but
I don't know. I feel like the Big Ten has really let me down in cross conference play this year. I don't know what the final stats are leading up to this week, but it hasn't been good for the Big Ten with Wisconsin losing and what was that other team? Nebraska losing, Illinois losing. Minnesota. It'd be nice for Minnesota to take this, but I would take Minnesota. I would take Minnesota plus 7.
Yeah.
Would you take them to win?
No. No. I'll be happy if they do, but I wouldn't take them for the
win. Okay. Any more thoughts on that game?
No. I mean, it all come down to obviously Minnesota's going to have to contain Drake May, but it'll be. I mean, UNC's got to figure out what kind of defense they're going to do. I mean, are they going to play defense? So, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I think Minnesota pulls out that upset and they get ranked 22nd in the AP.
Yeah, no, I would be a good win for them, that's for sure. And I think North Carolina going to overtime with Appalachian State last week shows that they are susceptible defensively anyway to a loss.
Yeah, which
So
is
that'll
about
be an
normal.
interesting game. Yeah, I think that's the game of the week. Big Ten, regular, all FBS. I think that's the best game. There's no top 25 matchups this week. That game looks the most interesting to me.
Yeah, they said this was like this was the week. What they say? This is the week to get married and to do your yard work and to just almost pause a Saturday. Like they said it's nothing. I mean, hell, game day and Fox is in Colorado. I mean, and they play CSU for crying out loud. So that should tell you, hey,
some shots fired over there.
CSU's coaches, chirping a little of Dion over there. I hope he knows he might lose by 50 points.
Probably 80 now. But
I don't know what he's
just
doing.
So sick of this cock goblin that comes CU way. Maybe if these fans even knew where Boulder was located or what CU had done in the past 5 years, we could have a conversation. Like, my father-in-law is a CU, he's knowledgeable and been around the Buffs in the 80s and the 90s, so he understood like heritage and history and tradition. I work with a couple guys and they're like, "Oh, CU, have you?" And I'm like, "Do you even know where Colorado is? Like, do you? I mean, I get it, it's Dion, but like, come on."
They've definitely. The last time they had a positive record, it looks like it was 2016. They went 4-10, and then before that, they didn't have a positive record since 2004. So in the last 20 years, they've been positive twice.
Yeah.
So
good on Dion to turn it all around, but I'm just sick and tired of talking about the Buffs. So not again.
No more. Yeah, I agree. Let's screw them. Let's skip them. So all right, Big Ten play. We can go over kind of the easy ones, I guess, the ones that should be blowouts, and then we can kind of talk about the ones that'll be better games. So right now it looks like the largest point spreads is Western Michigan at Iowa. Now this one I find interesting, only for the fact of the spread is more points than Iowa ever scores in a game ever. So the spread, they have Iowa favored by 29 points, which is really that's ballsy thinking Iowa can put up 29 points.
Take the under, people. Don't get greedy. Don't get greedy. Take the under.
If they do put up 29 points, it's going to be 14 defensive points at a minimum, I would assume.
Brian needs the 29 points
happening with this game because Iowa, first of all, has a record of 1-2 against
Western Michigan
in the last 20 years. So we have dropped 2 games against this school, but we get Jamari Davis back as a corner, and that's actually a big deal because he hasn't played since 2021 at corner, and he's evidently so good that now that he's completely healthy and off suspension, Ferentz has put him like right away. So that's going to be interesting to see. And then that drops Deshaun Lee to third CB under Cooper DeJean. So,
but Lee's that'll be a good nickel back.
It'll be yes, he's all trained up now. Yeah. So I expect our secondary to just go nuts.
Who can Google this though? You said Western Michigan, right? Is who they're playing? Was that when PJ Fleck was there or no?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. It's been. I mean, he must have been.
Because PJ got to Minnesota in 17.
We've only played him 3 times and we've lost twice to him. So
that's a rough. So you guys are looking for some. Did you lose the last 2?
Well, and here's the thing: like, you guys talking crap about our offense. Our offense there was a couple of issues where the plays were there, the balls were overthrown. So, and I think that's just Cade McNamara getting back into his groove. He hasn't played in a long time too, but there was a couple of deep balls that were gone for touchdowns last week that just didn't articulate.
So I think even though the points haven't been there, I think your offense is better just in the fact that Cade's coming off injury, he's still getting used to this offense, and CU makes the NCAA playoffs. Wow. Okay. So Cade makes the Cade getting used to the offense, and you guys haven't been turning it over as much as you did.
We had 0 penalties last week.
What?
That's good. Yeah.
0 penalties last week, and a blocked field goal. So like we're there, we're clicking.
Mm-hmm.
It's just our offense guy and Patterson. That guy hits holes fast. So I'm thinking I'm feeling the only problem right now is what was I heard on Hawkeye Nation, an observation analyst made was that our O-line isn't maintaining blocks. So that's if you're going to watch that game as a Hawk fan, that's what you need to be focusing are the O-line finishing their blocks, especially in run blocking. Because there's a lot, which is an interesting observation. Means they're hitting them to the spot, but they're just not maintaining them. So it's good we got Patterson back there because he can hit holes really fast. And that touchdown we scored, that pocket or that hole collapsed pretty quick, and he just squirted right through there. So
that's all you need, though. You just need it open for a couple seconds. I mean, then it's on the running back to make the right read. But
it's not a good sign if they're not being able to maintain a block against Iowa State. What happens when we play Michigan, or Penn State? Penn State's really the big game, first big game for us,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we play you guys this year unless it will be in the Big Ten tournament. So or championship game. So looks like that one's going to be a blowout. It should be Iowa, Western Michigan at Iowa. Western Michigan's kind of down this year. You guys are going to be playing in Kinnick. Shouldn't be an issue for you. I would hope not. The only thing that I question is that line. I wonder the last time you guys actually scored 29 points in a game. So then the other blowouts. Bowling Green visits the Big House. So we are favored by 40.5 points. Michigan has beat Bowling Green twice. They're 2-0 all the time against them. Like I said this every week. Everyone knows these first 3 games are jokes. So that game will probably be over after the first quarter, if not earlier than that.
But can you lay the points with Michigan? Did you guys?
No, I wouldn't lay the points with them because different from what we've been doing last year is last year we left JJ McCarthy in every second of the game, like literally up until the fourth quarter, and we were just trying to throw the points on. Now that McCarthy is established and we know he's our starter, and there's not any controversy with quarterback, where we have expectations of college football playoffs. I think that we've been pulling him out like in the third, and we let like 4 or 5 different quarterbacks take snaps last week. So we were just kind of letting our guys just do their own things. You could obviously tell some of those guys have never really played. And we put in our secondaries at the end. So both teams that we've had 10 total points scored on this year, and they were both late into the fourth quarter, just because third string, fourth string guys are out there playing, getting some reps in. So that's kind of how we did it. So honestly, I would take Bowling Green plus the points, 40.5, because by the time we go up 4 or 5 touchdowns, we're not going to keep trying to run the clock out and get the game over with. The big things that I take away from that game was, again, McCarthy, I believe, was 22 for 25, so only 3 incompletions. One of those incompletions was only one of the 3 was his fault, in my opinion. He underthrew it or overthrew it. I can't remember. He had 2
They're
touchdowns.
talking Heisman.
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. Another thing, I remember from the first week, I believe it was, Roman Wilson had 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 of the 3 from McCarthy, and he had 2 more last week. So he's definitely our wide receiver 1. Blake Corum, I believe, had 3 touchdowns. Not that many yards, but we're trying not to get him that many reps, especially after the injury he had last year. And, there's no reason to overload him, especially since we have Donovan Edwards backing him up. So we like the 1-2 attack. Roman Wilson. Yeah.
Reset your mic real quick. You just went warbly on me.
Okay.
Did you hear that, May?
Yeah, I heard what he said.
Hello? Can you hear me? Is that better?
Yeah.
May hears me all right, Corey. I think it might be on your end. Oh, Jesus. All right. Well, Anyway, so yeah, I think those are my big takeaways for Michigan. I think, like I said, Bowling Green, we should bowl right through them. I don't think there's going to be an issue there. So I think we're favored by the most, but honestly, I would take Bowling Green plus the points. I don't trust us to actually beat them by 40. We'd need 41 points in a win, and I could see us scoring 40 and start like kind of making it easy, and then letting them score a field goal or a touchdown at the end of the game, and that kind of
losing it right there. So.
Yeah, so that's really no other thoughts. Do you guys have any Shador keeps he finna lock up the Heisman? Do you really like CU over here? He's a
CU
guy.
Yeah.
All right, so
that's Devin, Mr. Bandwagon fan himself.
Another blowout in the Big Ten. Western Kentucky at Ohio State. Ohio State's favored by 30. I assume they're going to have no issues. I'd actually take Ohio State.
Western Kentucky, though, they can score points. The Hilltoppers.
Yeah, I think
they can score points.
They are 2-0 right now. I think, I guess, that 30 points could be a lot. I just kind of see Ohio State running away in the end with that game.
Yeah, they need one.
Especially their home. Their fan base shows out. They have a huge stadium. So there's only a couple other games that kind of might be blowouts, but so Georgia Southern visits Wisconsin. Wisconsin favored by 20. I think Wisconsin will be looking to take a little revenge from losing last week against Washington State. I see Wisconsin just kind of steamrolling Georgia Southern. I think their run game comes back in full effect next week.
Don't sleep on Georgia Southern. I think that's what.
You think they have a chance?
Clay Helton coaches that team, the old USC. I mean, I know it's Nebraska, but they beat us in Lincoln. So,
yeah,
I wouldn't sleep on Georgia Southern. I've not watched them this year, but I mean, Wisconsin with the way they played last week. I mean, like you said, they should come out hungry. They should come out pissed off. But I'm not going to sleep on Georgia Southern.
Fair. I can understand. That's probably why the line is only 20. I think that's probably the only line. Now there are two games that are 17. One's a 16.5 point spread. One's 17, and I think they're both going to be larger spreads. I'm going to actually take those teams to cover. One of them is Northwestern visiting Duke. I think Duke steamrolls Northwestern. Duke is favored by 17. I think they might win by 35.
Hopefully they can cure like cancer or inflation while they're on the field, with all those brainiacs.
Yeah.
Just come up with something great.
And Duke, Duke is they're 21st in the AP poll. I forget what I had them. I put Duke all the way up at 12 after that.
12?
Yeah, I put them at 12th. I don't know if you guys saw my top 25 list that I posted. But yeah, I put Duke at 12th. I think they have one of the best wins of the season over Clemson, especially with the way people thought that game was going to go. So I had them all the way up at 12th, and until they lose a game, I'm going to keep them up pretty high.
I like Duke. I like Riley Leonard. I love that quarterback. I like Duke to what are they? The Devils? Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like him.
I took a screenshot of that top 25, and every college football tweet out there, I posted it in the comments and just said, if you want a real I forget exactly what I said, but it's like, you want an honest top 25, give us a follow. Because
yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just like, it's so much. I mean, the fact Texas beat up on, I mean, they didn't beat up on them, but
they took it in the fourth quarter. Alabama didn't look like Alabama.
Yep. We haven't seen that in years, and the fact that they didn't bump them up further than they did.
Well, and that's why I try to be unbiased with the top. I could easily say, oh, I'm gonna put Michigan first. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna keep Georgia above them. They've won 2 national championships in a row, and they have, until they lose a game, there's no reason they shouldn't be in the top 3 or 4. But I like to go based off results a lot too. And Texas, and I was telling Chris this when you were kind of lagging out there, was Texas might have the best win of the entire season this year, depending on what Alabama turns out to be. So I thought it was a no-brainer. Throw Texas up there. Florida State has a great win this year. Duke has a great win. I think rewarding those teams. And then even, I dropped North Carolina because they went to overtime with Appalachian State. Like, yeah, they won the game and they're still undefeated, but I think there should be a penalty for playing that close to a team that you should have blown out. So I think I like to try to do it results based. If for somehow Michigan has to win against Bowling Green by a fourth quarter field goal, you best believe I'll drop them motherfuckers down.
Here's the thing: are they going to be more forgiving to an Alabama loss than they are if Texas loses one?
100%. Like in Alabama, if Alabama is only a one-loss team or two-loss team at the end of the year, it looks better than if you lost to Florida State, even though Florida State might be just as good of a team. They're going to say, oh, well, you lost to Alabama, you still have a chance to make it wherever. At the end of the year, they'll still contemplate you making the playoffs. But yeah, so yeah, I'm going to update that again tomorrow. But I try to stay as fair with it as possible with the top 25.
It's a great list. It was a great top 25, I thought. Well thought out.
It. Yeah, I have a top 40 on my iPad here, and I kind of just move teams around as they play. So the other team that I wanted to mention before we get into the good games or the supposedly good games was number 8 Washington, future Big Ten school, is visiting Michigan State. They're favored by 16.5. I think they blow Michigan State out.
Washington is going to, they are going to dog walk Michigan State.
I think they might call it in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You might have to squeak out a win.
Well, and then, so I don't know, Chris, I think you read about this more. Do you want to talk about what happened with their coach?
Well, I just saw the headline. I need to.
I did a bunch of research on it.
Did you? Yeah, because I saw he got fired. Then he didn't get fired. He got suspended, and that's all I looked at. I didn't see anything else.
All right. Well, what happened then, Corey? Because while we're talking about Michigan State, obviously coaching controversy can be a huge factor in the outcome of this game. So.
Okay. So what happened was, sorry, I'm phone's dying now. Okay, so what happened was I know it's awful. He has been estranged with his wife for quite some time, and this woman that goes to different colleges to teach about rape culture, who had been previously raped, which is a horrible thing, wanted to share her experiences with college so that doesn't happen in the college campuses. And so when she was visiting Michigan State, her and Coach Tucker developed a relationship. She traveled all over. And so I guess she was sending him photos. And he asked if, they wanted to rub one out together. And she agreed. And then they had a 36-minute phone call in which kudos to him. 36 minutes, that's quite the presentation to show off. Anyway, so she claims that it was not consensual phone sex.
She's just a trap artist.
Wait, what?
She claims that it's not consensual phone sex. And they go, well, why didn't you hang up? And she said she felt uncomfortable and was frozen with fear and didn't know what to do. So Michigan State went from firing him to just suspending him without pay until the investigation finished. But now the governor of Michigan has gotten involved, and she has been known to lie about someone trying to kidnap her. So she's taken the side of the lady and asking why Michigan State's allowing this culture to remain in the campus. When I'm pretty sure, like, you read this guy's statement, he feels like he's like horrified that this has gotten out because it was this private moment between her and him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So to me, it sounds like this lady is making up.
So but here's the problem I have with it is it's like if there's a recording of the phone call, or is she just saying I talked to a guy for 36 minutes and he jerked off at home? Like what?
No recording of the phone call.
So it's like anyone could just say that. Like I could.
She has the phone log, and that's it. Like
I could call somebody for an hour and be like, "Oh yeah, he was doing this the entire time," but for some reason I stayed on the phone with them for an hour. Like what? Like, get out of here, dude! Like the headline, the initial headline made it sound like he was going around campus raping people.
Yeah, I know.
That's what the initial headline sounded like when you first sent it. I was like, holy crap, like this guy's a psycho. And then to hear that is ridiculous, dude. Like,
well, and it makes you like even if it wasn't consensual, I still don't know if that equals to the line of.
Well, it's like, dude, okay, how many times does a guy check her out in a day when she walks down the street? That's not consensual either, but you don't call the freaking cops on him because he's staring at you. You obviously liked him enough to talk to him for 36 minutes, and you had some sort of a relationship.
She talked to him for quite some time before this. Like, they were like romantically talking. She was sending photos of herself.
And what do you think he's doing with the photos? Like, what? Like, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's a trap artist. Like, she's just wanting to get money, wanting to get paid, wanting to ruin a man's life. Typical woman.
Normally I would never side with anything Michigan State, but on this matter, like, I'm 100%. Like, if that's really what it is, and if it comes out that he was like threatening her or something, then yeah, the guy's a psycho, fuck him. But if that's not the case, if it's literally just he said, she said, and all you have is a phone log, you don't have a recording, then go fuck yourself. Like, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. Well, that's ridiculous.
I mean, and kudos to Michigan State from taking away the firing to the suspension.
Yeah, but even and I hope if they do an investigation and they realize there's no warrant here, I hope that man at least gets his money back. He's not going to get his time back that he lost with his team, but I hope he at least gets the money back that he lost for literally no good reason. And now this guy's going to start having women sign, NDAs before he talks to them. So that's ridiculous. But I do think.
Well, if he coaches ever again, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, he's not fired.
Well, I know, but I mean, eventually, if he's let go or whatever, I mean, it's just going to be interesting to shake out because. Michigan State, they want Mel Tucker. They wanted him there. Like, they knew they messed up when they let Saban out the door. They weren't going to do the same thing, and after D'Antoni retired or resigned, they were like, we got to lock Mel Tucker up. And then for this all to come out, it's interesting. I mean, if he gets reinstated and everything, okay. But if he loses his job, he's never coaching anywhere, even if he was guilty or not.
Well, and you wonder if it's because of the super sensitivity of Michigan State right now with what that doctor did, which was awful. And now they're like, maybe she was thinking it's a culture known here. She can get away with it with the guy who just signed a $94 million contract. She was close. She was close.
I mean, if I was that dude, I would literally show anyone doing the investigation. I'm like, here's nudes she sent me. Like, you think this was non-consensual? Like, that's in the story. Like, at the end of the day, like, I didn't force her to send those to me. And if she has any sort of messages to him in any sexual or romantic way whatsoever, like, to me, that's case closed. Like, yeah, lady, you got upset because he told you he wouldn't fly you out this weekend, and you decided to go to the media and try to go after this man. And it's like, I'm assuming she's going to sue him civilly to try to get money. Is that how that would work? Like,
I guess, but she has to win this part first. And if in discovery they find out it's the exact opposite, I'd turn around and sue the crap out of her.
Oh yeah. And she would never work ever again. But then, what sucks about stuff like this is there's always people who will never look up the facts. And for the rest of this man's life, people are going to say he's a rapist, even though he didn't, just because one news headline put something out, and people will never look into the facts or look it up, and they'll always say that about this guy. So
gotta read your articles.
Yeah. All right, I am good on Michigan State if you guys are. You have a few other games. So the next two games that are within 2 touchdown favorites is Penn State, Illinois. Penn State is favored by 14. They are AP poll ranked 7th right now. I believe I have Penn State ranked 10th. Nothing personally against them. There's some other teams with some better wins. That's why I put them above Penn State. Any thoughts on that? Who do you guys think is going to take that game?
I think Penn State's going to bury Illinois. Illinois looks so bad this year. They don't look good at all. And Penn State, that quarterback he's him. He's good. So I think Penn State, I think this is the year Franklin gets it, and he goes and he makes a statement against his cousins over there, says he wants to sit at the big dinner table for Thanksgiving. So
I agree. Corey, Penn State, Illinois.
Penn State. What's the over?
I don't know the over. I can double check it real quick here. Also, while I'm checking this, Maryland is up 35-14. So
Okay. They
looks
got
like,
it together.
Looks like they took Virginia out. The over-under is 48 on the Penn State-Illinois game.
Okay.
40?
48.
48.
So yeah, I think Penn State walks away with it. I think we're all in agreement. Now, there's this game, bringing it back to the Huskers, because they are the next closest or like farthest money line in non-close games. So Northern Illinois at Nebraska. Nebraska is favored by 13. Nebraska is 3-1 all time.
I'm calling Illinois.
Wait, what? Are you calling Northern Illinois? You think Northern Illinois is going to beat Nebraska?
He just says that and then drops off like a real turd.
Oh,
there's no way.
Did his thing drop? No, you guys. I mean, you're at home. You're obviously now. Is it time for a quarterback change? As a fan,
yeah, Harburg is starting. Jeff Sims he's not healthy, so yeah. So Harburg, that's why I put in Harburg we trust.
Are you excited about? Yeah, are you excited about the new quarterback?
100%. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I've been wanting to see Harburg since since last year with Casey and all that. Because I mean, it was going to be if Jeff was healthy and came in, his leash was going to be short. Because could you imagine getting booed, at a sellout crowd at home, like your first home game as a transfer? Like it would and then the backup goes in. The backup is a homegrown Nebraska kid that wanted to play for Nebraska since he was little, and then he gets cheers. There's no way you come back from that. So,
no.
I mean, I think you put Harburg in. You see what he does. You see, even if he plays poorly, I still think you sit Jeff and you let Jeff get healthy and just watch and just kind of recoup. And then we run the ball 8 million times against Northern Illinois, and we go. I mean, Northern Illinois, their strength is their D-line, but we like Rule said in his press conference either yesterday or so, he notices that not everyone, but most of the team is carrying around an 0-2 mindset and an 0-2, composition. He's like, no. He's like, we need to carry around 0-0. We're at home. Let's go 1-0. Let's go 1-0. We're at home. Let's start this thing. Let's get it going. Let's forget 0-2, and I get it. It's his first time in Lincoln. So, he wants to, he's going to go that way, but it's, we should beat Northern Illinois.
I think you will. I think you guys will. Honestly, I would pick Nebraska to cover this.
I'm going to take him in the spread for sure.
The last time you guys played them, you won 44-8. So you beat the crap out of them the last time you played Northern Illinois. It looks like the over-under is 42. I think this game, especially coming into Big Ten play, like official Big Ten play, I think this will be huge for you guys to just dog walk Northern Illinois.
We need to dog walk Northern Illinois. Yes,
you guys need to dog walk. Now, Corey, you
work them like a part-time job. I'm not playing. If we go 0-3, I'm gonna fucking lose it. You see this shit table behind me? I'm gonna go through it.
Now, Corey, were you joking when you said Northern Illinois before you?
No, I stand by my statement.
So are they going to cover the 13 or are they winning the game?
Both.
Well,
they're going to win the game.
They're going to win in Lincoln.
I think everyone else has at this point.
Oh, man. So Northern Illinois, they've so far this year, they've already been up and down.
Listen, Shane, they're going to win that game with 73 yards rushing and 10 yards passing offense, and they'll still find a way because Nebraska is going to have 6 turnovers this week.
Oh my God!
How many turnovers can you have with people in motion?
I mean, they have a new quarterback this week.
Thank God. Yeah, no, I know, and he did look good. No, I'm of course being facetious because you'd pray to God Nebraska wins this game, for Christ's sakes.
I think they win it with no issues.
Yeah, I think we win it.
The defense is good
with no issues. Yeah.
We lead the nation in sacks? We're tied with 11.
That's what happens when you're out there all the time.
Oh, Ouch.
Wow, dude.
Ouch.
Hey,
I think
that was us.
No turnovers, minimal penalties.
Yeah.
There should be no reason why you don't easily cover this spread. I think you cover this spread in the first half.
1 week of good special teams play. Let's just get 1 good week out of the special teams, for Christ's sake.
Hell, I mean, I hate to say this, but I'd take turnovers and no penalties. I mean, at least we're just like, I mean, not a ton of turnovers. I don't want, but I mean, like Corey said, I'd like good special teams. I'm sitting on Santa's lap. Good special teams. Get the turnovers, get the flags, stop it. We need to be mentally sure, and let's own the fourth quarter. Let's own the fourth quarter. Let's be nasty. We need to be nasty.
Do you think your starters will be in fourth quarter?
Yeah. I don't see him.
I think this is a game. I think this is the game that even if Nebraska's up 30 in the fourth, you just keep pounding the shit out of them to move on into Big Ten play. Just to get that confidence.
You kick the dog, or whatever analogy you want to use. You
beat the dead horse.
You beat the pulp out of these. What are they? The Huskies? I mean,
yeah.
You Iditarod the shit out of these doggies, and you show all your fans that we're here and we're sorry. We're sorry for the past 25 years, and we're trying to make it up in one game. We're sorry.
So yes, I think that's great. It'll be good for the team moving on to the rest of the year.
Fucking sorry.
Any more comments for Nebraska from you guys?
No.
Okay. So the next closest game, in terms of point spread, Louisville at Indiana. Louisville is actually favored by 10 points.
Indiana is they're hot garbage. Louisville's going to win that game.
Yep. Okay. I think
I hate slam dunking on our Big Ten because the Big Ten and the SEC they had rough weeks, didn't they?
Yeah. They did.
Yeah.
Now Louisville has they beat up on Georgia Tech 39-54, and they're coming off a 56-0 shutout against Murray State. So they're coming to this game with a little confidence. They're obviously really good offensively. I think they've always kind of been good offensively. Their defense has always kind of been their hindrance. But Indiana, like you said, they played Ohio State kind of close week 1, but not close enough. And I don't think Indiana is going to be very good this year. So I'll take Louisville to win. I'll actually take Indiana to cover the spread, though. I think they only win by maybe a touchdown or 9 points. Any predictions there for you? You said, Chris, Louisville.
Louisville for me, too, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry about it.
Yeah. So we already went over Minnesota, North Carolina, game of the week. There's only 2 other games that we haven't mentioned that are supposed to be close. Virginia Tech at Rutgers. Not interesting. I said close. Rutgers is favored by 7. The Scarlet Knights are favored by 7. I'll take them just to hopefully the Big Ten can beat an ACC team. That's really no other reason other than that. But I could see either team winning that game, honestly.
I think Shiano's got to get him going, right? I think because people run through brick walls for that man. So I think he'll get Rutgers, and I think they'll beat Virginia Tech. I mean, I don't see him losing to Vautech. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they've got to put it together. So.
Yeah, and I mean, Rutgers win that game, then we're playing Rutgers week 4, 2 3-0 teams. We're meeting Rutgers as a 3-0 squad in week 4. So that'll be interesting. I still think we'll dog walk them, but I think that'll be an interesting kind of little tidbit there. Corey, Rutgers, Virginia Tech, any?
Virginia Tech.
You're taking the Hokies.
Yeah.
Any reason, or you just don't trust the Scarlet Knights?
I feel like this is a good one for me to separate my my distance, from the pack here. Get a little lead on these predictions because I assume we're keeping score, right? Of
we can. I'd be willing to write them down. Yeah. I don't think we've done this quite yet, so this will be the first week we'll keep track.
We should do it, and then we'll compare it next week. And see what this.
Let me clarify on the Nebraska pick one more time before we get into this. Because are you seriously going with Northern Illinois, or are you picking Nebraska to win the game?
Oh, no, I picked Nebraska.
Okay.
So when we keep track, are we actually like taking the spreads, or are we chicken shitting and doing money line? Like how are we gonna do this?
Both. We could do both because we can cover the spreads, and then we can just I wouldn't mind just listening back and then just writing them all down, and then we can even tweet them out. Like this is what Corey's record against the spread and money line is this year.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then we could do, we can have all of our kind of tallies, and we'll just start it this week for week 3, and then moving on, we'll just do it every week from there. So, okay, so we'll do it. We'll do like one more rundown at the end then, if you guys want to do that real quick. Do one more rundown. So let's start with this game, and then we'll go through all the games, and then that will be our tally. Okay. So first game we're going to pick officially, Syracuse at Purdue. Syracuse is 2-0. Purdue is 1-1. Syracuse is actually favored by 2.5 points. Who's winning that game? Another Big Ten ACC. Purdue. Now, Purdue. Are you taking Purdue to? So if you're taking them to win, that means you're taking them to cover the spread. So Purdue plus 2.5 and Purdue to win. Chris.
That's tough. I like Syracuse in that. That's because I like Brian Walters. Hudson Carr, I mean, I thought he would do something for Purdue, but I'm going to take the returning talent of Syracuse, and they're going to beat Purdue.
Okay, are you taking?
What is it, 2.5 though?
Yeah, so I would assume you just took them to cover then too.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no real wiggle room with.
No, it's a field goal. It's a field goal there. So
because I could technically, I could take Syracuse and then Purdue to
cover, but you're only having them win by 1 or 2 points at that point.
Yeah, I can't do that. No. Syracuse outright.
Syracuse outright. All right. I am taking, I'm going to go Big Ten again in this one, I think. I'm going to take, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm taking Syracuse. I forgot Purdue sucks. Okay, so I'm going to go Syracuse. I'm going to take Syracuse minus the 2.5 as well, and I think they will cover. Unfortunately, the Big Ten, the lower spectrum of the Big Ten is having a rough go of it this year. I'm going to take them. All right, let's move it up one more time. We'll go through these real quick so we can. We don't hold you. Bowling Green at Michigan. Michigan by 40.5. Obviously, we're all taking Michigan money line.
I'm taking Bowling Green on the spread there.
Okay, Corey.
I'll do Michigan. 27.
Cover? Well, no, it's either you take them to cover the full 40.5 or you don't.
No,
I mean, I would tease that down. You are right though. That is not a bad play to tease it.
Yeah, down. I mean, I would adjust it to 27 because I could see him beating them by 4 touchdowns. But
okay, so Chris going Michigan money line, Bowling Green plus 40.5. Same thing with you, Corey.
Yep.
I'm taking my boys to cover. Fuck it.
Whoa!
And then minus 40.5. I'm gonna send a message to.
You're gonna lose. This is how you're gonna lose this week, is by making stupid bets like that.
Yeah, well, actually, I probably shouldn't do that because earlier in the show, I literally said,
"Yeah, you did."
I wouldn't take this. All right, I'll go with my original pick. I'll go Michigan money line plus 40.5.
The book cash the check.
Okay, Northern Illinois. I'm going plus. Northern Illinois and Nebraska. Nebraska minus 13. I'm taking Nebraska to cover.
Yeah, I'll do it too, but it's stupid because they'll win by 11.
3, yeah.
Right.
I guess put me in that because this would I would tease this down to a touchdown just to be super safe. But yeah, I'll take. I'm gonna ride my boys.
All right. Washington at Michigan State. Washington is favored by 16.5. I take Washington to cover that spread.
I mean, I'm taking dog nuts all over Sparty's head. Yeah,
I would tease this up and make it 24.
Yeah.
Corey?
I would make this 40.
I'll take Michigan.
Michigan State? Put the state on the end. You can't just say Michigan.
I'll take Michigan State.
All right. Michigan State. But are you taking plus 16.5?
Or plus 16.5, yeah.
Are you taking them to win too, or Washington to win? Okay.
No, Washington to win.
All right, plus 16.5.
I think it's gonna be more competitive. There's still some big boys at Michigan State.
Okay, Western Kentucky at Ohio State. Ohio State is favored by 30 points.
I'll take Ohio State, but I won't take the 30 points.
You're gonna say you're gonna lay them with Western?
Yeah, so you're gonna take Western Kentucky plus 30.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do too.
He just lists. Okay, so we'll do you guys taking Ohio State money line and Western Kentucky plus 30.5. I'm actually gonna go opposite of you guys on this one. I am gonna take, or it's 30, not 30.5, 30. I'm going to take Ohio State to cover the 30 and a half points. Or 30. Jesus, I keep saying half. So I'll take Ohio State to cover the minus 30. I think they're going to come out strong. All right, Virginia Tech at Rutgers. Rutgers minus 7.
Yep, I'll take it. Give me both.
Rutgers minus 7. Rutgers to win. All right, Corey.
Yep.
Virginia
Tech win straight up.
Yep.
Virginia Tech win. Chris, Rutgers minus 7. I'm going to go with you on this one, Chris. I'm going to take Rutgers to cover.
I'm always nervous when Shane goes opposite of me because we know why. All right.
All right. I can already tell you I'm going to take Western Michigan plus the points against Iowa. Western Michigan at Iowa. Minus Iowa minus 29 points. What do you guys think? I'm taking Iowa to win. I'll take Iowa to win. What are you guys taking?
You know what? Since you did it for Michigan, I'll take Iowa to cover.
No, I actually took that back, so it's up to you if you want to be.
Oh, I appreciate the honesty there, but since I'm a real fan, I will say Iowa to cover.
All right, so Corey,
Cade McNamara is going to go nuts. That defense is going to have a heyday. Pick sixes, 2 pick sixes tomorrow.
He's going to throw 2 pick sixes?
Yeah, sure.
Cade is?
No, not Cade. No.
I was like, Jesus.
No, not Cade. No, there's going to be Iowa's defense is going to get 2 pick sixes.
All right, Corey, Iowa minus 29. Chris, you going Iowa or Western Michigan?
I'm taking Iowa with the money line. I'm taking Western Michigan with the points.
Okay, Iowa money line.
And I'm hoping I get crushed on this because I want to see Iowa get out of their offensive funk, but we'll see.
You know, I think the fans are torn. I think some fans are just ready for a new offensive coordinator, so they kind of want to watch them fail a little bit. That's how some fans get into complacency. You know, they want to watch their team fail so they can make changes.
Just to pause that thought real quick before we continue on, I firmly believe that now we have scored, 24 points, and what was
20?
That Kirk Ferentz has decided that he is going to purposely win every game under 25 points this year. I think that's his mental. He's going to.
He doesn't have to fire his son.
He's an old codgety fart that wants to not be told what to do, and no one's going to tell his boy what to do. What points he got to score. So expect a 20 point offensive juggernaut coming towards you.
Wow. Okay. All right. Moving on. Northwestern at Duke. Duke minus 17. I will take the Blue Devils to cover the 17 points.
Yes.
Chris, too. All right. Corey?
Yeah, I'll do that, too.
And Corey. All right. That was an easy one. Game of the week. Minnesota at North Carolina. North Carolina minus 20. I'm going to take North Carolina to cover or minus 20. Jesus, minus 7. I'm going to take North Carolina to cover.
I'm taking.
You taking
Such a hard choice.
I'm taking Minnesota to win. I'm taking
to win. Oh, so they'll cover too then.
Yep.
All right, Minnesota money line.
I'll just take North Carolina straight up.
But who to cover the points? North Carolina to win by 7 or plus 7 for Minnesota.
No, I'm gonna go plus 7.
You're gonna go Minnesota plus 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
With Carolina to win.
We all have different picks on that one. Okay. Let's see here. Georgia Southern at Wisconsin. Wisconsin minus 20. What do you guys think?
I'll take Georgia Southern minus 20. I'll take Wisconsin for the win.
Georgia Southern.
I'll take that too.
Minus 20?
Or I'll take the
the plus 20?
Yeah, the plus 20.
All right, Georgia Southern.
Yeah, I'll take the plus 20 too.
Wisconsin win. That's great. I'm going to take Wisconsin to cover the 20 points. Wisconsin minus 20 for me. All right, we only have 2 more games left. Louisville at Indiana. Louisville minus 10.
Give me Louisville all the way around.
All right, Corey?
Same for me.
We're all in agreements. We have no faith in.
I know.
Poor Tom Allen.
Minus 10 all around. Okay, last game. 7 Penn State at Illinois. Penn State is favored by 14 points.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take Penn State all the way around.
All Penn State minus 14. Okay, that's all the games. Maryland is now winning 42-14 with a minute left. Sounds safe to say that Maryland has won that game. Other than that, that's every Big Ten game. We've done them all.
All right.
Do you guys have any other thoughts and any other games that you want to go over before we get out of here?
I do have a quote of the day that was given to me by Temperance. It was quote of the day written on my whiteboard here. If you can see that. It says, "You are an amazing person. You just have to find it." So there's a positive quote of the day. Maybe Nebraska, we post that in their locker room. Give them a little hope after such a horrible start to the season. But there is a wonderful person inside each and every one of you. Just have to find it.
Yeah. The other thing I'm going to say is I'm going to take Tennessee in the swamp. So
who's Tennessee play this week?
They play Florida.
In the swamp.
SEC country. Yeah. So I'm going to take. I'm going to ride with Tennessee, money line and the points.
Oh yeah, that does looks like they're favored 5.5. That's actually a pretty good game. That might be up there with the UNC Minnesota game for probably best game of the week. That's actually a really good one. I didn't see that one when I was looking at them. There was one other pretty good, decent game that I saw when I was looking here a second ago as well. That might be something to tune into. It was Kansas State at Missouri. That one's pretty good as well. K-State's only favored by 3.5 there. LSU at Mississippi State. Mississippi State's also undefeated. That might be a decent game. LSU hopefully will win that for their fan base, but we'll see. A couple good SEC matchups coming up as they're getting into play as well. So,
love it.
That's all I really
fellas. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys as well.
All right.
See you, boys.
All right, later.
Play fake. Beckert sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith.
Has some time. Touchdown!